Hey everybody, your friendly math tutor here with the Daily SAT Challenge, Sunday, July 12th, 2026. All right, so what I want is to figure out what those 2 points actually are. So h of 1 is just 3 minus 5 is negative 2, and h of 3 is just 9 minus 5, which is 4. All right, so I get my 2 points, and I want the line n is the perpendicular bisector. So the perpendicular, so if it bisects it, it goes through the midpoint. So the first thing I want is the midpoint, which is just the average of these. You can use Desmos to find the midpoint, but I feel like this is pretty simple. 1 plus 3 is 4, 4 divided by 2 is 2, and negative 2 plus 4 is 2, and 2 divided by 2 is 1. So this is the midpoint, and then the slope is going to be the perpendicular slope to this. Well, if this has a slope of 3, then the slope of the perpendicular line is going to be negative 1/3. So this is the information we have. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how you could probably do this in your head, but I'm going to write some of it out just so I can explain it. If you want to use Desmos, because we're finding the y-intercept of the line. So if I want to graph this, I think it's easiest, rather than finding slope-intercept form, is to just use point-slope form. This is the least popular of the forms. Standard form, slope-intercept form are much more popular than this. Slope-intercept form is obviously the most popular. But point-slope form is extremely powerful with Desmos, because with Desmos, you don't need it to be y equals to graph, like a graphing calculator. It'll graph anything you type in there, as long as it has x's and y's in it. So this is why, if this is your given information, if you were given 2 points, I would just use the Desmos table. But if you're given a point and a slope, if you just plug it into this form, it'll graph it, and you don't have to rearrange it, and you'll be able to look at the graph to find the y-intercept. So what I'm going to do is, knowing this is this point and the slope, I'm just going to hop over to Desmos, and I'm just going to graph y minus 1 equals negative 1/3 times x minus 2, and then I'm just going to look, and I'm going to get the y-intercept to be 1.6 repeating. Now, here is the downside of doing this in Desmos. We need to know that 1.6 repeating is 1 2/3, which would really just be 5/3. So when we jump back here, the actual value of b is 5/3. All right, or you could put, you'd be allowed to put like what, 1.66, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 7. So that would be acceptable as well, because you could use 5 characters, but I prefer fractions, so I would just do 5/3. The other way to do it is, if you use you could use point slope and solve for b, or you could just use slope intercept form and like plug in. But either way, the answer should be 5/3 or 1.667. All right, hope that helped.